Ubisoft just released another game. Are you ready to find out what it is? What do you think it is? What do you think they would drop right before Christmas? What do you think? What's a good Christmassy game? Maybe something that's like a goodie but an oldie. Maybe like an old school game from an old school IP. What about Rayman? What if they did something Rayman related? That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Well, they do have something like that called Captain Laserhawk, the game. And as you can see in this archived article from Polygon, it is an NFT game and requires you to buy an NFT to play it. It's a top-down multiplayer shooter for PC. It is a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off of Far Cry 3. It even guest stars Ubisoft's mascot Rayman. The likely reason Ubisoft has been so mum is because it's a Web 3.0 game, meaning CLTGAME uses crypto and blockchain, and those buzz technologies about digital ownership from 3 years ago that are now not really that cool. This isn't Ubisoft's first time with the blockchain. Of course, they just put one out like a few weeks ago, which we tried to play on stream. Back in 2021, when blockchain gaming was a magnet for millions of dollars of investment into the games industry, Ubisoft was calling their tech an evolution of real-life possibilities in digital spaces, whatever that means. Digital ownership would be transformative, they said. Couldn't people already buy things in games? Not the really real way the blockchain would enable it, they and other proponents said. Fans panned Ubisoft's early crypto gaming foray in late 2021. The company started offering Web3 guns and armor in its open world shooter Ghost Recon Breakpoint, so players could sell those items to other players via the blockchain, which they barely did. No big deal though, Ubisoft was merely in research mode for Web3, company CEO Yves Guillemot would say in September of 22. It was easy to scoff, but it wasn't absurd to give them some benefit of the doubt. The open-minded optimist who was familiar with Ubisoft's past had reason to expect Ubisoft could make something better, maybe even figure this Web3 thing out. In the past, when Ubisoft went into research mode involving odd new tech, they produced some quality games. Ubisoft's early zeal for the weird Wii U back in the day resulted in a, no snark, smartly designed game about fighting zombies while managing your backpack on a second screen. They chased the trend of virtual reality gaming and generated a multiplayer game about piloting Star Trek spaceships. They hopped into the bandwagon of Toys to Life, like Skylanders, and produced a nifty sci-fi game that on Switch doubled as a terrific new Star Fox adventure. What might Ubisoft cook up for Web3 gaming with ample time to put it into research mode? Well, the answer is Captain Laserhawk. Ubisoft's Captain Laserhawk game, the crypto game, is unfortunately the most basic top-down shooter imaginable. You're a contestant in a futuristic battle arena. Most kills wins. Use WASD to move the target, crosshairs with the mouse, left click to shoot, right click to rush and stun opponents. Deathmatch and team deathmatch modes are available, and there's weapon, gear, and emote lockers and a battle pass. Of course there's a battle pass. That's about it though. It is technically in early access. This is crazy. You need an NFT to play it. For now, at least. I learned this through Ubisoft's parallel universe of Captain Laserhawk promotion, which involves a dedicated Twitter feed and some posts on the medium. On December 11th, Ubisoft began offering 10,000 Niji Warrior NFTs. I think I'm a Niji Warrior in this game. The NFT looks like a virtual ID card. Initially, you could grab one of those ID cards for free, minus Web3 transaction fees, because of course there's transaction fees. I want to see this game. I want to see this action, or this game in action. Hold on. I'm going to look up the gameplay. No way, is this it? No way, this is what it actually looks like. Is this really it? Bro. I want you to remember that they spent millions on this NFT craze, like hundreds of millions of dollars. Ubisoft Quartz was their big push into it, which is, it's a whole other topic, but Ubisoft Quartz was their big push. As you can see, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, they had everything built around digits, is what they called them. So the idea was you buy a skin in Ghost Recon and then you can sell that skin to other players for real world money. And the reason why executives love this is because they were like, ooh, we can get paid every step of the way. When you buy the game, we get paid. When you buy a digit or an NFT for the game, you are going to buy it maybe for $10 from another player. That player makes $9. We make $1 on the transaction fee. So we just made another $1. And when that player then sells their skin to somebody else, maybe for $10 or for 20 if it went up in value, or 5 if it went down, we make money on that transaction. So it's like microtransactions upon microtransactions upon microtransactions every step of the way. It's amazing. It's great. We love this. That's why they freaking love it. The problem is nobody likes this. And there are already games that have skins and things that you can buy and sell to each other. I mean, the most famous one is like CSGO, which has entire marketplaces for skins and, kind of gray markets and secondary markets for it. So you clearly don't need NFTs to do that. It doesn't really make sense other than relying on the buzzword of NFTs and crypto and blockchain. It doesn't really make any sense beyond that. Like just utilizing the buzzword. And when it comes to the other part of this, which is, of course, that there are interesting ways that NFTs could be implemented in gaming. And I've talked about this already, where I could see the potentially really cool way that this could be implemented, where you buy a digital game from like Steam, and that license for that game is backed up through a non-fungible token. And so you'd be able to sell your copy of a digital game, your digital copy of a game, to somebody else for a reasonable price. So it's not just buying a Steam key, and selling it on G2A. It would be an actual thing where, like, if I wanted to give my copy of Batman Arkham City to my brother, I could just do that. And because it is a specific code that's backed up on this other blockchain, you could do that. That could be good for the consumer. That could be good for the user. I think that could be good just in general. The problem is companies can't monetize that every step of the way, because that would be good for the consumer and there's no immediate payoff for them. So even though there's a cool way NFTs could have been implemented into the industry, the only way we ever heard about it was with these weird, cringy, like, everybody's going to get rich because you'll buy a skin and the skin will be worth $200,000 and then everybody will become millionaires by playing games. And it's built on such a faulty premise, which is the assumption that people will buy them. This is only worth money if somebody's willing to pay that money for it. I can tell you that this box cutter is worth $100,000 or 10 million. I'm worth $10 million. This box cutter's worth 10 million, but that's not true unless somebody's willing to buy it for $10 million. Otherwise, I'm just saying stuff, it doesn't make any sense. And with all this NFT stuff, it was built on the assumption that players would come in and be willing to spend that money for it. And they just weren't. Like, yeah, you can point, well, they're willing to spend that kind of money on CSGO. Well, yeah, CSGO has like decades of a reputation and it's been built up very, very slowly over that time. Like, you can't just assert that you have a multi-million-dollar marketplace and make it work. Like, you have to earn it from players. And I feel like the NFT craze in general was a great example of what happens when like executives try to shortcut earning players like money and time and interest in this type of thing. It was just an entire thing built up on the assumption that players just like spending money on these things, and it's just dumb. The only way that they could have gotten this working is if they would subsidize it in the short term. So for example, if they had these skins for Ghost Recon and you're like, ooh, I really like that, I'm going to sell my skin. I won this in the game. I earned it in the game. I'm going to sell this through the secondary marketplace because it's an NFT and I should be able to do that. If Ubisoft were willing to spend $100 million and subsidize that, and maybe they buy it from you for 10 real world dollars, so that, oh wait, I made $10 by earning this skin in the game. That the money came from the company and they just lost that money. But that would be a way to potentially motivate people to do it. But that money would dry up real quick before people would be willing to spend money back into the system. Because if you think like a decently successful live service game maybe does what, like 85,000 players. If each and every single one of them tries to sell a skin, maybe for an average of $5 a pop or $10 a pop, and let's say they do that 3 times, which is not that many. If you're telling me this is the core reason you play the game is to make money. If they do that, let's say $21 total for each one of those people, like you are hemorrhaging millions of dollars. And that's just 85,000 concurrent players on one platform. Imagine if this really blows up and people hear that it's just an infinite money glitch. It falls apart. It doesn't work. And I think that's what they realized. Is that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. They just lose money hand over fist if they try to subsidize it. So when they don't subsidize it, then they rely on players to spend that money, but players will only spend money in games they really, really like. And maybe this is a shocker, but like games that have been built with the sole purpose of making money for a big corporation, those games don't tend to do that well because they're not being built to be the best game possible. They're being built to make as much money as possible. And that is something players just don't tend to connect with. If you make an amazing game and then monetize it, that can work. But if you have a game that's just been built from the ground up to just try and extract cash, unless you're talking about Monopoly Go or I guess WWE Champions, like that's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Mobile games that appeal to like gambling addictions, they can get around this because they're capitalizing on addiction. But part of what makes those games so effective at extracting cash is because they're on your phone and you can take them with you anywhere. So whenever you're on the toilet, whenever you're on the bus ride to work or whatever, you can be engaging in that addictive loop, and that's how they get you. So I know some people are looking at this and they are like, oh, well, Ubisoft, once again, they just don't get it. They're trying again. They're trying it again. And to a certain extent they are. But I think more than anything, they just have a bunch of these NFT projects that they've been working on for years. And they're just trying to get them out the door. Like, okay, let's just get this. Let's just do this. If they talk about this at the earnings call, I would love to hear what they say about it. Because this past month, they've released, what, 2 NFT games, I think, at this point, all greenlit within 2020, 2021, that era. So I'd love to hear what they say about it. But I think most likely they just have a lot of this stuff in the background and they're just trying to get it out the door so they can move on. Someone bought an Among Us shaped McNugget for a lot of money. Probably one of those crypto bros. Like that guy that bought that banana that was taped to a wall at an auction house in New York. Like it was a crypto bro that bought it for like 6 million or 7 million and then literally just like ate it. And that was it. Pretty cringe. When in doubt, if you're like, who's buying this? It's probably crypto bros. He took my thing.